Hi, my name is AJ Hennessy. I'm making this YouTube channel really as a way to um, hold myself accountable and track my progress within LeetCode and this is NeetCode, but same thing. And yeah, this is really just going to be my experience, showing my experience from really never having LeetCoded. I've done maybe 40 questions on LeetCode. And some of these, the NeetCode 150, I have done maybe 25 or so. And so there will be a couple that I do remember. And I've already done 4, as you can see here. I basically just want to use this channel again, as a way to hold myself accountable and kind of motivate myself. And yeah, just track my progress. And yeah, we'll go from there. So this one I've already says I've solved. I basically took NeetCode solution I was trying to understand the other day, and I want to come back to it and retry it again by myself and go from there. Okay, so the question gives us just an array of numbers and an integer k. Return the k most frequent elements within the array. Now we can return the output in any order, and the test cases are generated such that the answer is always unique. So it looks like we have a okay. So I was taking a look at the constraints. Really, I was kind of just thinking about that. My thought process is I've kind of seen this before, and I think it's most of the time. I think with top k elements, you do like a bucket sort because obviously, like a brute force solution is to uh, get the frequency. You get the frequency of all the items, and then you sort that array based off of the frequency, and then you return the top k elements. I think I remember NeetCode solution was kind of a the same approach. So it's like my idea is really to one you have to find the count. You have to find the count of all of the um, different numbers, and so the camera is very close. Okay, so the count dict would just be the dict that I want to go ahead and loop through my nums array, and within there I'll just say count dict num plus equals 1. Yeah, I mean, I actually think the way that NeetCode did it was he did it a little bit differently in the way that he did something kind of similar like this, I believe. And I'm kind of trying to remember what he did because obviously I want to use my own knowledge, but if his is the most optimal, I do want to follow that pattern and try to really hammer it into my head, basically. So I think the count would be count 0 times the length of k. Oops, sorry, nums. And then with that, we'll have an array full of zeros for every single position of the array, but it'll be a length of nums. And so then, if we loop through, let's get an index and range, a length of nums. We can go ahead and say count index plus equals oops. Okay, so maybe not actually. Crap, actually. I wanted to do a timer. Okay, I usually do 20 minutes for a medium. So I'm gonna set this because 5 minutes have already passed. So actually like 6 minutes. So I'm gonna set this to give myself 14 minutes. We'll do that. Okay, so it's like the brute force solution is really simple. It's like if I get the count, if I get the count by doing for nums, simply do count dict num this equals 1 plus count dict dot get num 0. So like this gives you the number that shows up, right? So if I went down here and whoops, this is yeah, that's the right way to do that. Okay, so yeah, so I mean this gives you the count, and then like obviously you could do like if you really wanted to, you could simply do just convict values, and with this array, you could just sort it, and you would instantly know. Well, you would just sort it off of frequency. That's really all you have to do. Let's see, how could I do that? Yeah, like NeetCode, his solution is to make an array that you put all of the oh, I know how he does it. Okay, so the whole point of this is that based off of their frequency, that is your index, and so he makes an array of length nums plus 1, and that's the case because the index tied to say, like if you have an array that like, and that's all full of zeros, right? That you have 3 zeros, and that means if your frequency array is only basically frequency has to be the has to be a length of nums plus 1 to account for the fact that if something, like in this case, you have 2 7s, so it would be at index 2 rather than 1. And so basically you need to do frequency equals it's an array of zeros. Well, no, actually, you know what? You want it to be an empty array for, I forget how you do this in Python, for range length nums plus 1. So what this should do is it should return a frequency array that is of length. For example, let's see, case 2. Yeah, so now in the case of this input, we have 2 7s, and so it would go into index 2 because we have a frequency of 2. And so now this array is tied to that. So basically, we can sort, and this is kind of where the bucket sort comes into play, is because we have a finite amount of numbers. And I think that's in the constraints. You can basically see that is that the length of numbers is 1 to 10 to the 4, which is computationally really small. It's not infinite by any means. So yeah, I think that's really the reason why bucket sort actually makes sense here, because I think bucket sort also is very, very very niche for a lot of problems. So let's see here. With that, we can take that and go into for let's see. I'm gonna want the count and the number in count.items. And I believe count.items, it goes count first, like the value and then the key. And then from there, I'll do frequency is going to be the count of the thing, and then we'll do I think he does something different. I think he just actually, well, yeah, just append works. I don't know why I'm thinking of doing a plus equals. Let's do that, and then that should give me a pretty good frequency that I actually expect. Why did that? Count is 2. That should be. I thought I already accounted for this exact problem. Oh, okay. See, that's where you should know. Yeah, you should definitely know what that does. So it goes key value. Okay, I just forgot, I guess. Okay, so then from there, you know, we now have the sorted, like properly sorted, because if you go into here now, you have your sorted, yeah, you have your sorted values. So you know for a fact that, okay, so my 3 appears 3 times, so it's at index 3. My 2 appears 2 times, so it appears at index 2. My 1 appears 1 time, it appears at index 1. And so with that, it's like, okay, we know the most frequent variables now, or most frequent numbers now, are at the end of the list. And so we're gonna start at the, or it goes right to left. And so in terms of left to right, our array is actually is ascending. And so if we start at the end, we can descend, and that means we'll find our top k, most frequent elements. And so for index and range, we'll start at nums -1, And we'll go all the way down to I want to say 0. Yeah, I'm gonna go to 0. And then we increment by -1. So we go from nums -1 all the way down to, or length of nums -1 all the way down to 0. And we basically just need to check if the, well, so you can either check if the array is empty or not. Or, since there could be multiple numbers that are, for example, if you had 3 2s and 3 3s, they would both be in this array. So you need a for loop here saying for num in, which is kind of a bad name, but it doesn't matter because all of these nums are all in different scopes. So should be fine. Just for readability, it's kind of bad. So for num in nums index. Oh, you know what? This is going to be frequency. This is going to be frequency as well. It's the same thing. Well, kinda, not really actually. Yeah, okay. Same thing basically. So for num and frequency of index, so at the item, what we're going to do is basically just keep appending. And so we'll always append, we'll have a result array, and that's what I was saying to append. I just forgot to do it. Result equals result append. We'll append the number that we're on, and then afterwards we'll check if res equals k, then we'll go ahead and return. Oh, that's not right. If length of res equals k, then we'll go ahead and return our res. So that should basically be that. Yeah, okay. So just real quick to run this down, we get a count of all of the different numbers in the thing. It's basically frequency, but we just count up all of the occurrences of each number, and then from there we create a frequency array tied to the length of nums, and we can really only do that because it's a finite number of a finite length. And then the frequency of the numbers appearing in the array is tied to the frequency array. And so this array, or this for loop, is going to be O of n, the length of nums. Frequency will also be O of n. It's actually O of n plus 1, but that turns into O of n. And then down here we have a for index and range, looping to O of n plus 1, or n plus 1. And the worst case is really like, let's see, if you have all of the numbers at the same frequency, so there's only one occurrence of every single number. And in that case, for num in, I think it'd actually be k. It would go up to k because it would be O of n times k, I believe, because of the fact that we have to loop until we reach k. And so this loop is only ever as long as k, basically. So even in the worst case when this is actually, okay, my timer stopped, but yeah, so I think this is O of k, or O of n times k. Okay, sweet. Let's see how close I was to NeetCode's solution here. Okay, I think it, wow. I might have remembered it a little too well. Okay, but I think my reasoning for it is pretty sound. Okay, sweet. This is the first of this installment. I think I'll work on this one next. Thanks for watching.